So this sounds, it's just crazy. I can't believe this has been happening. I think this is just a total shock to everybody. But apparently a PR firm has been manipulating the Rotten Tomatoes movie scores for over 5 years by paying critics directly. I can't believe it. Guys, how could they possibly do this? No way. No way. What? What? They're doing this? Are you kidding me? Oh my God. This is, I would have never I didn't think this was happening. What is this? This system is broken. Audiences are dumber. Normal people don't go through reviews like they used to. Rotten Tomatoes is something the studios can game, so they do. The PR firm is Bunker 15, and they pay $50 or more for a review. They often recruit, let's go ahead and read the whole thing, obscure critics who aren't part of the pool tracked by Rotten Tomatoes. These payments are typically not disclosed. That's smart. That way people will take it more seriously. And Rotten Tomatoes says it prohibits reviewing based on financial incentive. One film, Ophelia, starring Daisy Ridley, went from 46% to 62%. That's an increase of a lot. Rotten Tomatoes has delisted a number of Bunker 15 movies from its website and sent a warning to writers who reviewed them. We take the integrity of our scores seriously, and we do not tolerate any attempts to manipulate them. We have a dedicated team who monitors our platforms regularly and thoroughly investigates and resolves any suspicious activity. So, let's go ahead and we'll look just a little bit about this. Oh God, it's very bright, I apologize. A feminist retelling of Hamlet starring Daisy Ridley, who had seen early screenings, published 13 reviews, 7 of them negative, which translated to 46%. But just it doesn't mean to say there. Bunker 15 went to work. While most PR companies aim to get the attention of critics from top publications, Bunker 15 takes a more bottom-up approach, apparently. Recruiting obscure, often self-published critics who are nevertheless part of the pool tracked by Rotten Tomatoes. In another break from standard... I love how... Bro, what a professional. In a break from standard practice... Several critics say Bunker 15 pays them $50 or more. That's a really interesting way to say it, isn't it? Yeah, a break from standard practice. Oh my God, what a fucking politician. I love this article. This is incredible. Let's see here. In the October of that year, an employee of the company emailed the prospective reviewer of Ophelia, Sundance film, and the feeling has been, is that it's been treated a bit harshly by some critics. I'm sure sky-high expectations were the culprit, so the teams involved feel like it would benefit from more input from different critics. More input from different critics is not very subtle code. Well, it's obvious, right? Because they're framing it from, it's been treated a bit harshly. It's obvious, right? And let's see here. Wrote back to ask what would happen if he hated the film. Bunker 15 employee replied that, of course, journalists are free to write whatever they like, but super nice ones. And this is, again, it's a quote, right? And this is what's so surprising about this is that usually these are paraphrasings. Super nice ones, and there are more critics like this than I expected, often agreed not to publish bad reviews on the usual websites, but instead quarantine them on a smaller blog that Rotten Tomatoes, I was thinking Russia today, Rotten Tomatoes never sees. I think it's a very cool thing to do. So the person that was representing the company says it was a very cool thing to do to quarantine the negative reviews. Yeah, for sure. And, so, okay. Let's see. So this is what Quentin Tarantino said. Let's see, movie called The Movie Critic admitted that Quentin Tarantino no longer reads critics' work. Why would he? He's Quentin fucking Tarantino. What is he going to read it for? What are they going to tell him that he doesn't already fucking know? Yeah, why would he? Today, I don't know anyone, he said. I'm told this person is excellent, but whenever I ask what are the 3 movies she loved and 3 that she hated in the last few years, none can answer me because they don't care. This is probably because with Rotten Tomatoes, together with help from Yelp, Goodreads, and countless other review aggregators, has desensitized us to the opinions of individual critics. Well, I'm just reading through this if there's anything else. To filmmakers across the taste spectrum, Rotten Tomatoes is a scourge. Martin Scorsese says that it reduces the director to a content manufacturer and the viewer to an unadventurous consumer. And Bratner said it is the destruction of our business. But insiders acknowledge that it's become a crucial arbiter. And then so, of course, people are paying money to stack the deck. Who could have ever expected this? So let's go ahead and let's talk about this. I don't think we need to go through the rest of it. I think it's just pretty obvious what we're looking at here. So, why is this happening? Why does this happen? Because they're able to make money off of it. And also the reason why is that in my opinion, I don't agree that people that are professional reviewers need to be elevated on a structural level. I think that if somebody's a professional reviewer, they should be elevated by the people who they provide reviews to. They shouldn't just be given a position and then told everybody has to listen to this person who's a professional reviewer and we're going to put them in a separate category away from the other common folk. I think this is ridiculous. Why is this even a thing to begin with? Because if you go and you look at a lot of these video games, for example, there are games that are literal dog shit ass garbage, but the game has a critical review score of like a 6 or a 7 whenever the audience review score is a 0.6 or a 0.7. I wonder what game I'm talking about. But the fact is that whenever you have this much of a disconnect between the critical review people who are supposed to be professionals in the field and the audience, then you have a massive problem. And I want to talk about why this is a problem. It's because the reviews exist as an end product to serve the user. The review provides no value if it is wrong. Is that correct? Like if somebody reviews a movie that they haven't even seen, well, then I think that I wouldn't take that review very seriously, right? Reviews exist as a benefit to the consumer, as a benefit to the, as a benefit to the people that watch the articles or watch the movies, or not watch the movies, they like go to the website, they're going to like some article, magazine, or whatever. This is the value that reviews provide. And I think that it is a tremendous problem that the critical reviewers who are given this position, which by the way is completely undemocratic, it is completely rigged, and it's not just apparently rigged with like people getting hired because they're in a good position or they have the right opinions, but it's rigged literally because they're getting paid to have them. So what a big fucking surprise this is happening. So this is just reality in general. Well, the problem is that here's where the problem is. This will always happen as long as Rotten Tomatoes has the ability to have critical reviewers have their reviews separated from the public. I don't agree that critical reviewers should have any elevation above the general public unless they're publishing it on their own website. Rotten Tomatoes is a platform that exists for the benefit of moviegoers, not movie makers. It exists because people want to know, is this movie worth my time? And is Rotten Tomatoes serving their audience properly by elevating people without any sort of democratic selection to having their articles and their reviews pushed above what their normal audience democratically agrees is the best review? No, they're not. And they're not serving their audience. So yeah, you can shit on this PR firm Bunker 15, whatever the fuck that is. But the truth is that Rotten Tomatoes are the ones that have created this problem, because they have elevated these people through, in what many eyes of people, including myself, are arbitrary means. This is completely fucking arbitrary. There are plenty of people with film degrees. There are plenty of people who are able to write well, or write good, excuse me. And the truth is that, guess what? A lot of them can probably do a better fucking job than the reviewers. Movie review Reddit, yeah. Let's see what people. I don't disagree completely. The only problem is audiences tend to rate review bomb, which does unfairly push a score down from, let's say, something from a 6 to a 2. How can it possibly be unfair? How can it, like, what about it is unfair? Because these games don't get review bombed for no reason, or movies don't get review bombed for no reason. They get review bombed because something about the movie is not resonating with the audience. And if something about the movie or the game does not resonate with an audience, isn't that indication of it being a problematic movie or a problematic game? Because ultimately, the people that are rating it for the community of people that use that website, right? So whenever a group of people who are like-minded and they decide we don't like this, and you can say it's for any arbitrary reason that you want. But in my opinion, there are no wrong opinions in the matters of taste. You can't tell people that they have to like something. And you can't tell somebody that they can't dislike something. So it doesn't matter whether you think that it's unfair or not. If somebody doesn't like She-Hulk because they think that it's like some feminist girl boss bullshit, and everybody else thinks this, well, then they have the right to express that because they're the audience that it exists for. They are the public. And I don't think the company is doing the public, which is what it exists to serve, I don't think it's doing the public any favors by censoring people's opinions. Even if a video game or a movie represents something that people don't like, people still have the right to review bomb it. I don't like review bombs either. I think they're stupid. And I think they're childish. And I think they're unproductive. But I think that people have the right to do them. Because the review bomb still represents genuine disappointment. It represents genuine sentiment. It's real. No one's saying they don't have the right. Well, I think that the implication is that they don't have the right to they don't have the right to be represented fairly because their opinion is invalid. That's what your implication is, right? Because the implication of what you're saying is that we need external, basically like ivory tower reviewers to tell us what to think because the public is stupid and review bombs things. So whenever you say that, oh, well, the problem is review bombing, what you're implying is that we need these critics in order to counteract the review bombing. But I don't think that's true at all, because the fact is that a lot of critics also review bomb, but for different criteria. So what are we even talking about? I think everybody is using a set list of arbitrary criteria to decide whether something is worth their time or not. So what is this? And I think that it's much better to arrive at that conclusion democratically rather than have a group of people through a selection process that is opaque and unknown, opaque at best, unknown in reality, just decide to, hey, these are the people that we should take seriously. They review bombed the Joker. Yes, there's a good example. I think that the One Piece one was also review bombed. Let's think of some other movies that were review bombed by critics but really enjoyed by audiences. I think that some of the Transformers movies are. Expendables, I think, was as well. Let's see. Besides that, The Little Mermaid, Super Mario, yeah, Godzilla. Exactly. The Sound of Freedom. Yeah, The Sound of Freedom, or whatever the fuck that movie was. Exactly. And so, this is so like, how do you reconcile that review bombing is a problem, but you don't recognize or acknowledge that critics review bomb for different criteria? It's the same thing. So let's put everybody on an even playing field. And if they want to make their own website with their own reviews, and then they only talk about their own reviews, then they have every right to do that. But in a public website that exists for the benefit of the public, it is best for it to be done democratically. There it is. Review bombing, for example, Last of Us Part 2. 2 out of 10 suggests the game has a problem, but it will undermine all aspects of the game does well, because of one aspect of the game is unappealing to people. That doesn't benefit to the consumer, and it doesn't care about that one problematic aspect. So it doesn't benefit the consumer that doesn't care about that one problematic aspect. Okay, so if the one consumer that doesn't care about that problematic aspect. Okay, so, all right, let's break down your logic. So you're saying that The Last of Us Part 2 is review bombed, and it's review bombed because of that Abby girl, right? Or something like that. I remember reading into this. I never played the game, but I understand kind of the plot. And she's like a big, buff, like weird, like lesbian, I think people said. I don't know if she is or not. And she kills like an important character, something like that. And people were mad. Well, anyway, if enough people were upset about that, don't they have the right to express that they were upset? And also, if all of the people that are review bombing the game had that feeling, well then don't they have the right to say that? And if so many people felt that way, that it took the game from like a whatever it was before all the way down to a 2, doesn't that give a better indication of what the public is going to expect? Because it is a ratio or a mean, an average of all of the public's sentiment. And also, if, let's say, it seems like if everybody's rating it down and it's this massive review bomb, so you have 10,000 negative reviews, so let's say 9,000 people hate the game, or 9,500 realistically hate the fucking game, so they rate it like a 2 or a 0 or something like that. And so you think that it's more important that the 500 people receive, and again, like you're assuming that those 500 people are okay with it, and you think that it's better that the 9,500 people that don't like it specifically for that reason, and that specific reason makes the entire game shitty to them, you think that all of those people should not be able to express that? Because there's 500 people that might be able to disagree? Absolutely not. So how many of you guys have ever had a game or a movie or a show that one thing, one character, or one thing that happens in the show, one plot device, made you stop watching the show or not like it? Me, right? Everybody, it's a me. Everybody, there's a me. And I don't need to have an example. I just want you guys to understand that this is a situation. So, if a lot of people feel that way, and this affected your enjoyment of the show. And so the show went from, theoretically, a 6 to a 2 in your mind. Is that correct? Or a 0, or a 5, or whatever you want to say. It lowered the score of the show tremendously. So if enough people have that opinion, I think that that shift should be indicated in the review score. Review bombing is bad when it's brigaded by political Andes? No, it's not. It's actually not. Because whenever, for example, whenever a show pushes a political message that people don't like, whether this is The Sound of Freedom or whether this is She-Hulk, it doesn't matter. This piece of art has a right to exist. And it also has a right to be given feedback from the audience. And if enough people don't like that political message, they can show that in the review score. You do a lot of bitching about stuff for someone who's so pro free speech, Lamau. Should I ban him to show that I'm not pro free speech? Should I ban him? Like, what do you guys think? Should we just ban him just so that I'm not free speech? He's banned. He's gone. Let's not get into these ideals, okay? I'm not talking about free speech or anything like that. Yeah, it's perma. It's perma banned. It's gone. Political message from the player base is usually 9 out of 10 the best message. Why not listen? Well, here's the thing. Is that I think the audience has a right to say, because this is really what the truth is, okay? People don't care that a video game is political. The people don't care that a movie is political. People care that a movie is political about a topic they disagree with. They don't like hearing this political message. That's the real truth. It's not that people don't like politics in movies. People don't like politics that they disagree with in movies. So whenever somebody uses a movie as a platform to push an unpopular political opinion, and then everybody else says, wait, what the fuck are you talking about? I think that they have a right to say, wait, what the fuck are you talking about? Isn't there a problem with review bombing? If one person makes 200 plus accounts to push an opinion, then it's quite ingenious. Would be fine if it was 1-to-1. Yeah, you're right. That's definitely a problem. I think there's also, like, there's a lot of protections you can have for that, but yeah, that's always going to happen. There's always going to be a way that you can rig the system, but just on a principle level, I disagree with the idea that some people are going... I disagree that that it's good that reviewers have different criteria for reviewing movies than audiences do, because I think reviews exist for the benefit of the audience. So if the reviewers are reviewing based off of things that the audience doesn't find value in, I think the reviewers are not serving their purpose as being an asset to the audience. It's that simple. And I think that only makes sense. But how? Well, I just explained it. What about if the review doesn't consider the subject at hand? Wouldn't that be a problem? Theoretically, I don't think that somebody should be able to review a game or review a movie that they haven't seen. I think that you should have to see it. I agree with this. People say, no, that's so hard to enforce. I understand that. I totally agree. Yeah, I totally fucking agree. I think that Steam has a relatively good level. What about Cuties? I mean, I think what Cuties was is like such a massive fucking extreme. Like that's insane, right? But like, I think that's like a 1 in 1,000 example. I watched a trailer on YouTube that makes me eligible to have an opinion. Oh yeah, I understand. And I think that, you know, there's a time and a place for that. But, you know, like a review aggregator for people that want to see a movie, I don't think that they serve the public by allowing people that haven't seen the movie to just say that it's good or bad. It's just like if you have somebody else pick your outfit for wardrobe for you, but they have no idea what your tastes are, so they just go based off their own. Exactly. Shit was weird. Yeah, bro instantly thought of Cuties. No, it was actually a good example that's an exception to what I'm saying. Actually, I thought that was actually quite a good example. That does kind of prove that, like, my rule isn't completely absolute. Because, yeah, I think that, for example, like, you don't have to see that movie to know that it's problematic and bad. So yeah, that actually is a good exception. What's Cuties? It's a movie that it was a movie like they were trying to, it was like trying to show what happens to like young girls whenever they're taken advantage of sexually, but in the process of doing that, it put them into sexual situations themselves by displaying them in positions and poses that were inappropriate. Review bombing isn't a problem. It's a consequence of the decisions made by the companies. Yes, it is. And I think that people have a right to have that opinion. Feels weird, man? Yeah, it was really weird. It was really, really weird. I watched like 3 seconds of the trailer and I just turned it off. Should battle passes be made illegal? Due to unfair marketing to children, 100% should be illegal? Sure, yeah, then every toy should be illegal. Because it's also being marketed towards kids. Yeah, I agree. You should just make any marketing towards children illegal. Problem solved. He typed out like 10 times? Yeah, I know. It was just stupid. But yeah, anyway, yes, unironically. Okay, that's fine. That's a consistent position to have. It's just battle passes exclusively is stupid. Anyway, back to this. I think this isn't a surprise to anybody. And like, again, you should assume that you should never listen to anybody who is... You shouldn't listen to somebody because they have authority. You should listen to them because you agree with what they're saying or what they're saying makes sense. Just because somebody is told, just because you're told that somebody is, you know, a authority, it doesn't make them an authority. Should the game industry be regulated like the food industry so they can stop serving us crap? I think that there are certain things that should be regulated, like, for example, premium currencies and gambling mechanics. I don't think that video games should be regulated as in Starfield is bad, so I want Todd Howard to go to jail. Teachers? Oh, it's a lot of stupid teachers. I had them. How many of you guys had stupid teachers? I had a lot. Most of them are? Yeah, I would say the majority of my teachers were stupid, yeah. Actually, not the majority. I'd say it's probably about 50-50. I had good ones. I had some good ones, too. I got lucky. I had some really good ones, and I had some really bad ones. Taught a lot of stupid students. I bet you did. Shouldn't they be held to the same to a service industry if they promise an industry-level product? No, I don't think so, and I think that any other similar circumstance wouldn't make any sense. Like, if somebody releases a music album that's not very good, they're not held to a standard for that with regulation. If somebody releases a movie that's not very good, they're not held to a standard of regulation. I think that there's never a circumstance... I think that maybe, like, if there's a concert that doesn't happen, there's an expectation of, like, refunded tickets or something like that, sure. But that's, like, literally not getting the service that you paid for. I think subpar entertainment service is so subjective that it's almost impossible to actually draw lines of, like, what's acceptable acceptable and what's not. You can maybe make some like really big exceptions, right? With things like, for example, like Overwatch 2, right? Like Overwatch 2 promised a massive thing and then they got rid of it. I think that's borderline for regulation for sure. But anything else below that, no, I don't think so. I actually enjoyed watching many movies with a low tomato rating overall. So here's what you should do. You should find people that you think are credible, who share the same interests that you do, and you should listen to what they say about content and new media, and then follow that, rather than just listen to the person who people tell you to listen to. Why do you think there aren't more adult games like Witcher or Baldur's Gate made more, if that's what a lot of people want? There's a lot of reasons for that. I mean, a lot of companies don't want to take a risk like Larian took with Baldur's Gate. I think Witcher 3 also is not just a mature game. I think it's a game that a lot of people can enjoy, including teenagers. So yeah, I don't necessarily think so. And there's other reasons too, but yeah, it's a smaller audience, larger investment. Well, also, I think there's a massive audience, right? I mean, you can look at how popular Baldur's Gate is, like on Steam, right? How popular is Baldur's Gate right now? It has 172,000 people, and it had 173,000 today. It has more people than Starfield. Like, Baldur's Gate peaked at more people than Starfield did. Experts should be able to explain to the public why they're right. Unfortunately, they just listen, and assume no one in the public can judge the reasoning. I think that there is a fundamental and massive difference between somebody being an expert in chemistry and somebody being an expert in reviewing movies. Like, these are just two completely different things. I think that it's a ridiculous comparison that you're talking about, like, an actual scientist versus somebody who talks about if movies are good or not. And I'm also not trying to degrade them. But what I'm saying is that it is subjective. It is fundamentally subjective. That's why an expert in chemistry gets paid way more than an expert in movies. Yeah, I saw Breaking Bad. Let's see, we'll look at a couple of things.